Well, hello, everybody from all over the world. My name is Dr. Chris Willard, and I'll be just guiding us in a little talk and practice for the next 20 minutes, half an hour or so. I'm just going to take a few more moments to settle in and just wait for other folks to tune in, to log in. I know it's Monday afternoon where I am, and online school is just getting out for lots of folks, and the workday is in different places, different time zones around the world. Um, I've had an actually really wonderful time recently just connecting with friends all over the world and really reflecting on the fact that this is such an opportunity for common humanity, that so many of us, everyone really in the world, is coping with this in different ways, but coping with this really everywhere around the globe. And that's really heartening for me. It certainly has been for me, certainly. So we'll just take a few more minutes to see more folks trickling in. And if you like, in the chat bar, you can say hello and maybe let us know where you're tuning in from. So I'm here in Cambridge. Cambridge, Mass. So please let me know anywhere else that you might be coming from. And then I'll just ring the bell and get started. So let's just start by enjoying the sound of the bell. So again, as ways of introduction, I'm Chris Willard, mindfulness teacher, mindful contributor, author, a few other things, and I've been practicing for a little over 20 years now. And early on, I remember hearing a wonderful story about mindfulness. A great meditation teacher, who some of us might be familiar with, described the scene after the Vietnam War, when refugee boats were just kind of flooding the Pacific and the Sea of China, full of refugees, and they were just overcrowded, overflowing really, with children, elderly, rich and poor, so many people in these boats. And what became really clear was that if one person in the boat started to panic, right, it really started to put everybody at risk. Right? The boat would become unsteady. People couldn't move, right? All these other things. The panic would start to spread, both emotionally and physically. But the flip side was also true, that if just one person could remain calm, right, or could bring the rest of the group down with their calm, everybody really had a chance of surviving. And so I think a lot about where we are as a planet, as a global society, and that we are in this lifeboat of Earth right now, in this really frightening situation where so many of us feel adrift, so many of us feel out at sea, and everybody, right, rich and poor, young and old, right, in every country in the world are facing this and are also feeling so many different emotions right now. And what's become really clear in terms of both spiritual traditions have shown us this for years, and philosophical traditions, but also that neuroscience more recently, and what folks like Dan Siegel might call interpersonal neurobiology, is that our emotions are actually really contagious. Our negative emotions are contagious: anger, fear, these kinds of strong, challenging emotions really spread from person to person. But so too are a lot of our positive emotions. I do a lot of work with families, with kids, with adults and teachers and therapists, and I'm often asked, like, what's the best way to create more mindful kids and have a more mindful society? And what I've really come to realize is that I know how to create more stressed out and unhappy kids and more stressed out and unhappy groups. And that's as if the parents, if the leaders of those groups are unhappy themselves, that's going to trickle down, right? the best way to create unhappy people is to surround them with other unhappy, stressed out people. But the best way to create more mindful, compassionate, and caring kids or cultures is to really kind of surround them with more happy, mindful, well-regulated, and compassionate adults. And so really kind of thinking about this as resilience training, right? Some of us may be familiar with loving kindness practices, where we're really trying to channel some kind of benefactor who just really wants the best for us. And I had this really challenging job many years ago where I was working with really difficult kids and in a really difficult environment as well, for that matter. And I was just so burned out. And I was really studying some of these contemplative practices around kindness and compassion. And what I realized was that maybe I was that kind of person who someday other people would be challenging and channeling, and that's a real big responsibility, right? That's scary in some ways. But the best way we can help kids or other people in our lives who maybe have experienced or are currently experiencing adverse events, right? And that's what's happening right now. We're all under tremendous stress. If we want to come out of this more resilient, if we want to come out the other side of this with what people call post-traumatic growth rather than post-traumatic stress, right? It's about learning how to maintain our own equilibrium, our own self-regulation in the face of this. And actually, the amazing news about human resilience is that the most likely thing to happen after a traumatic event is post-traumatic growth rather than post-traumatic stress disorder. But there are also certain ways that we can make sure that that's more likely to happen. Again, no guarantees, but by practicing resilience, by practicing mindfulness, by practicing just slowing down, right, this can really help us and in turn start to spread to the people around us. There's that old saying that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and I've always really loved that. And so, a lot of us are sheltered in place, with certain people, or we're kind of stuck online with certain people. So I'd encourage you to really think about, how to create a more positive environment where you are, and how to create a more positive environment for yourself online. I've actually taken, to some extent, to hiding some of the more negative people in my social media feed so that I can be surrounded with more resilience and positivity right now. And the other thing that the research actually finds is that when one person practices mindfulness, it starts to trickle out to other people. Parents who practice mindfulness, even if their partners or the kids roll their eyes, the whole family is happier, there's better communication, things like that. Right? Parents of special needs kids who practice, their kids actually, their behavior starts to improve. Right? In the workplace, when one person is practicing mindfulness, when a supervisor or boss is practicing mindfulness, it starts to impact the whole company, right? So really thinking about this, when one partner is practicing mindfulness, right, the other spouse, right, they seem to be happier with the relationship, which is less reactive and there's less conflict, right? Even there's a study of college students recently, when one college student was practicing, the weeks that they were practicing, their roommates were happier, their families were happier, their boyfriends and girlfriends were happier, even when they didn't know that this person in their life was practicing mindfulness that week. So as we practice, as we regulate ourselves, this really does start to trickle out to the people around us, right? So we really can help everybody in the boat on planet Earth, right? Help their mood just by simply practicing mindfulness. Maybe there is something like we're giving off kind of positive vibes. And it's not just that. The other research on positive psychology finds that kindness, acts of compassion, acts of generosity, these also spread person to person to person. So when we act in kind ways, when we aren't so nasty at the grocery store, when we're, out there, in the world, when we are able to get out and we're more kind and we're more patient, that actually trickles back. Those people take that back home and are more patient with who they're living with and are kinder and more generous. So these things have been really measured by science. And so again, how we act really does start to influence the people around us. We might have seen that, there was that meme online I saw last week that was like, this is your one chance in your life to save the world by sitting at home on your couch in your pajamas, right? But maybe also even a little bit more than that, this is a real chance to save the world by staying at home on your couch in your pajamas and not going out, but also by doing that with a little bit of practice. And we can do this in formal ways, we can do this in informal ways. One of the things that I've taken to doing, that I've seen a lot of folks also posting about online, because that's how, of course, so many of us are connected these days, is by taking this time just to slow down a little bit. All these wonderful poems about slowing down appearing, and taking the time in our lives to actually read those poems that people post online, but just allowing ourselves just to slow down a little bit, right? Instead of taking one trip, carrying all the groceries, and it's like, take a few trips, right? Walk a little bit slower, really listen to the birds, really notice everything around us. I have this friend from Finland who I met many years ago, and he does a day of mindfulness in his small town. He doesn't actually call it a day of mindfulness. He just calls it do one thing at a time day. And it's not exactly mindfulness, but it's pretty close. And I actually really love that idea that maybe we can just stop with the multitasking a little bit if we've got the time. Not all of us do, right? And just turn a little bit more toward doing one thing at a time, slowing down as we do the dishes, right? Really appreciating what it is that we're doing. I sometimes try to bring more awareness to what I'm doing by just simply asking myself every so often, what am I doing right now? And then how do I know I'm doing it? Maybe checking in with my five senses, right? Because our senses might be, right, our thoughts we know are right, racing to the future or getting stuck in the past, right? Our five senses bring us right back to the present, as we know. So even just, we can begin just now, just let's actually take a moment just to become aware, perhaps, of the fact that we're breathing. Just asking yourself, how do you know that you're breathing right now? Can you feel your breath? Where do you feel your breath? Cool air at your nostrils, warm air coming out between your lips. The sensations of your belly rising and falling. Or what about our other senses? What sounds tell you that you're breathing? Can you hear the sounds of the inhale and of the exhale? Each breath a bit different than the one that came before, the sounds a bit different than the one before. Almost like the waves of the ocean. Notice also perhaps the smells that you detect in the air. And also tell us that we're breathing. Distant smells, nearby smells. Pleasant smells or unpleasant smells. And what part of the breath are they strongest? And what part of the nose are you most aware? And shifting toward taste. Can you taste the air? How does your sense of taste remind you that you're breathing? And can you see your breath? Perhaps if your eyes are closed, you're imagining your breath. Or if they're open, you might just notice your body just very gently rocking to inhale and exhale. As your field of vision just ever so slightly changes with the in-breath and out-breath as it gently rocks your body. And knowing that you can carry this forward, this, what John Kabat-Zinn might say, coming back to our senses, right? With everything from movement to eating to every other thing over the course of your busy day. We can continue now just to breathe, and I'll guide us into another practice of awareness and relaxation. And this is really a simple acronym. I learned this from an old colleague. CALM. Chest, arms, legs, and mouth. CALM. Chest, arms, legs, and mouth. A useful one for these difficult times as we check in with our bodies, which are so important right now to take good care of. Beginning by just bringing your awareness into C for your chest and torso. Noticing sensations here. Is your breath short and shallow or long and extended? Allowing yourself to expand and extend your breath just a bit. Detecting your heartbeat in your chest. Any other sensations? Is there a tension, or does your chest feel somewhat relaxed? It's a place that we hold a lot of tension and emotion. And I'll invite you then just to tense these muscles throughout your chest and torso. Just tense those muscles, holding these for just a few moments. Noticing what tension feels like, and then just release, letting go of those muscles in your chest. Allowing yourself to relax, let the tension flow away, let the relaxation flow in. And next, bringing your attention and awareness into A for your arms. From your shoulders down to your hands, maybe your hands holding clammy or dry, really shaking or still. Sometimes with anxiety or strong emotion, we're making fists without realizing it, just noticing what your hands might be communicating to you in this moment. And then tensing these muscles and releasing. Letting the tension flow away, let the relaxation and calm flow in. Awareness now down into your legs. Sometimes that extra cortisol of stress can lead to that little shaking, bouncing in our legs. Noticing any other sensations that we're aware of in our legs. And then from your feet up through your calves and thighs, just squeezing all of these muscles, feeling that tension. Noticing how the tension impacts your breath, and then just releasing. So that you're letting go of your tension in legs, chest, arms. And now just bring your awareness up to your head and your mouth, where certainly I tend to hold a lot of tension, clenching my jaw and neck, just noticing what it's doing, what expression's already on your face. You can check in with our face. What are we communicating? What are we feeling? And then clenching your jaw, tensing your mouth, and just releasing. Maybe releasing your mouth into a bit of a smile, smiling at yourself, smiling outward to the world. Just letting our breath become re-regulated as we regulate our breath. In turn, I like to say, as we regulate our breath, we're regulating our bodies, which regulates our brains and our emotions, our impulses, our attention, all of that. As our breath starts to even out, as our body starts to relax, and with that, we can just bring our awareness back outward, knowing that we can always come back to just slowing down, checking in with our senses at any point in the day to ask ourselves what we're doing and how we know. And to just quickly, we don't always have time for that 40-minute body scan, right? But we can maybe do this 1 minute, 5 minute, 10-minute, just check in with your chest, and then tense and release arms, tense and release legs, tense and release mouth, tense and release into a smile. And just coming back to our day a bit more present, especially in these really challenging times. This also, especially, a question I've been getting a lot from folks is, how do I know if this is anxiety, and how do I know if these are symptoms, right? Because that tightness in our chest, right? And that can also be anxiety, or it can be a symptom. It's really frightening for a lot of people. But if we expand our breath into our chest, right, if we tense and release those muscles, it can really start to release some of that anxiety and help us see our bodies more clearly in this time that we really need them to be really thriving and healthy. So I really want to, thank you for these comments as well. Spending more time at home. It's been such an interesting and special time, I think, in many ways. I'm here in Cambridge with my family and not getting out a whole lot. And it really has been just, tremendous, I think, for me to be able to really enjoy this aspect of slowing down, appreciating time with other people. And of course, some of us maybe living with difficult roommates, or I know people that were in the midst of a breakup and are finding themselves, still with people. So we're all in such interesting and different situations. And yet practicing for ourselves can in turn start to really practice and trickle out to so many other people in the world. So I encourage you to keep up your practice with other people, get online with Mindful, right? And so many other great, folks who are offering practices out there, connecting with others. Connect when you're having a hard time. I've been encouraging people to reach out when you're doing well, because other people will need to hear that. Keep reaching out, helping other people in whatever way you can. And with that, hey Pia, oh my gosh, people all over the world. Nice to see you. Haven't seen you since Denmark. So thank you all. Please stay in touch with Mindful. Please stay in touch with me as well. You can find my resources out there as well. But it's just wonderful to be connected with so many people for moments like this. And I'll hang out for another couple minutes. If anyone has any questions, feedback, comments, feel free to just jump in down below. Hey, Nancy. Hey, Rose. Oh my gosh, so many old friends too. This is so fun. This is just great. All right. Well, thank you. Please stay in touch. Please stay in touch with each other. Please stay in touch with your communities and your people. And I know we can all not only get through this, but we can get through this so much closer, more resilient than ever, so much stronger than ever in terms of growth out the other side of this, building stronger communities, coming out stronger as individuals, as families, as companies, as communities, as countries, and really across the globe. I really do feel so hopeful with certainly what I've seen. So stay positive, stay strong, stay resilient, and I will see you all soon. Thank you.